get together. You see on the table there is a Kapitel Tehillim. I'd like to say it all together for the welfare of our brothers and sisters that are under siege in Israel and for those that have been wounded. And please God, there should be a complete Yeshua and a refuah, both in terms of physically as well as emotionally as well. They should be restored. So just say it all together. Kapitel Chav. Lamatzach mizmor leDavid, Ya'ancha Adonai b'yom tzara, Yisagevcha Hashem Elohei Yaakov, Yishlach ezecha mikodesh, Yitzir misadecha, Yizkorcha min chofsecha, V'lascha yidat nesela, Yiten lecha chil bavecha, V'chol atzas chayim alei, Nirana b'shuasecha, V'shem Eloheinu nidgol, Yimale Adonai kol mishalasecha, Tayadati ki Yoshia Adonai Meshicha, Ya'aneu mishmei kodsho, V'gvuros yesha yamino. Eila barecha, Ve'eila basusim, V'anach b'shem Adonai Eloheinu askir, Hem ha'kar v'nafala, V'anach nekamna v'nisadod, Adonai Yoshia, HaMelech Ya'aneinu B'yom Kareinu. Thank you all for joining us in the middle of the day. I know it's not easy. Just, we want to take the opportunity, to just share my personal thoughts in terms of what I feel the focus should be, especially at times such as these. Just got off the Zoom at 9 to 10 o'clock this morning with all the heads of school in LA. This was one of the principal councils. It was not just the Orthodox schools, Reform and conservative. And actually, there was a sentiment coming from many of the heads of school that they are having PTSD because it's reminding of them what happened during COVID. The stress that they're going through right now, they say it's even worse. Because this is more of an existential threat to our sense of as being Jews, not just like as a shared threat in terms of humanity. And one of the things I shared on the chat, and I would like to share with you, and I think it's very, very important. What terrorism does, it paralyzes. What they are trying to do is not just kill and rape and pillage and what they did, but they do it, and the fact they're posting all of these videos is because they want this to continue on. That act of terrorism shouldn't just stop with what they've done. They want us to be consumed 24/7 to a point that we can no longer function. You're so scared that you can't even step out the door. Now, obviously, we have to have a little bit of seichel. We have to be the sense that there are threats that exist. And we have to have empathy, and we have to have sensitivity, and we have to educate. But what I've told the teachers and my administration, I don't want to walk into every single class in the school and all they're doing is discussing what's going on. That's what the terrorists want. That is exactly what they want. I want to walk into class and it's business as usual. They're studying math, they're studying English, they're studying Torah, they're davening. That's what should be the focus. Again, with the right sensitivities. If we have to say Tehillim every day, we need to say Tehillim every day. We have to bring every few days a guest speaker to discuss certain things. But it should not consume us to the point where we cannot move on. Because then they are winning in terms of what they're doing. What we have to show, do what you want. But we are an eternal nation, and nothing you will do ultimately will take away from us being an eternal nation. And what they're trying to take away from us is our Jewish identity. And I actually, frankly, I am more disgusted by when I went, you go on the news and you see some of these pro-Palestinian rallies in the United States, and you see how American citizens are acting. To me, that is much more troubling than what's happening. I expect that from Hamas. Amalek, they have to be destroyed. That's the bottom line. There's no question. When you see the people that you go on you go to a soccer event and they pull out the flag, and to me that's a lot more troubling than so that's something we have to be aware of. But I just, the point I'm trying to say is that I've been getting a lot of questions from my own administration. Should we be planning the mid-year retreats or for the boys? Should we be looking at the trustee dinner? Should we be doing the annual campaign? And some schools I saw saying they're canceling. To me, that's not. That's giving in. He said, no, we're going to do this in your face. We're going to do this. We're not giving in. We're not showing that you have that control over us because we're not allowing us to be controlled. That's the bottom line. Again, with the right sensitivities. And I think that's the balance of that is what we're looking for, and that's what we're trying to do. And that's, and so that's just that, I think if we understand that, then people say, why are you doing this? The reason we're doing this is because we don't want them to have control over us. That's the bottom line. And that's why we're having this meeting. There was talk about canceling this as well. No, I don't think so. I think there's an opportunity, A, to have a line of communication open, but B, I just think, it's like, we don't want to be locked in our doors and just, either going online and seeing these clips. And people ask me, why are they generating these clips? It makes them look bad. They don't care about looking bad. They still want to terrorize everybody that is watching these things. That's exactly what they're trying to do. So moving on. Just like to share a short idea from the Parsha that I think really is what all of us are coming together to try and accomplish. The last mitzvah in Zos HaBracha that we just finished on Simchas Torah, we finished Zos HaBracha, is the mitzvah of every Jew has to write a Sefer Torah. The first mitzvah in the Torah is every Jew has an obligation to procreate, the mitzvah of Puravu. So there has to be a connection, that cycle, that actually we switch right away from Zos HaBracha, we start reading. Chasan Torah is Zos HaBracha, Chasan Bereshis is, we read from Bereshis, that connection, what is the connection between the last mitzvah in the Torah and the first mitzvah, which is that eternal loop that we go around? What is the connection between the two of them? So it's fascinating. Rabbeinu Asher lived, the Rosh lived around the 12th, 13th century. He says that nowadays we don't study from the actual Torah scroll. So we can fulfill the mitzvah by buying Svarim, holy books. You have a Gemara at home, you have a Chumash at home. He says that is a fulfillment of the mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah. So you see that his understanding is not just to be able to have one and then you have it in your house somewhere, it's to study. And therefore, whatever the vehicle of study is, by purchasing and owning those type of books, that is how you fulfill the mitzvah. So it's not just having it, but it's using and growing through the study. That's really what you have to be doing. So Rav Shamshon Raphael says something very interesting. I think this is the connection. He says, what's the idea? Pru Ravu. So you translate that as be fruitful from the word pri, fruit. And Ravu, he says, is from the word rov, is multiply. But he actually says it means something else. He says it means that the mitzvah is not just to bring children into the world. Because there can't even be such a mitzvah. Not everybody can have necessarily bring children into the world. That's how to instruct them to have children. That's not necessarily how people can have. He says the mitzvah is that if you have brought children into the world, Revu, create an environment by which they can thrive. Means have our responsibility. There's an expression that I don't remember exactly the word. It goes something like, everybody can be a father, but not everyone can be a dad. It's not just having the child, right? That's a no-brainer. It's creating that relationship and the environment. And what we are here to do is we get together. What can we do to ensure that we have the environment that our children can thrive? So it's both obviously on a family level, but we're a larger family on the school level and a community level, and that's really what we are trying to do as well. So that's one of the things that we'd like, that feedback and getting the back and forth from you. We're going to take the time, we're going to allow everyone to have lunch. Right, part of thriving is eating. So therefore, we want to allow you to have lunch. We're going to start, and then during the meal, we'll start talking about different elements and different things. Different people here are going to be speaking. And Michelle Gerstein, is she here? Michelle? We're going to talk a little bit about the annual campaign. We're going to talk about PTA. Dorit Warner is here. So I'm going to put my glass on. So anyway, so we're going to be talking about different elements that we are, but I think right now, actually, one of the most important aspects of what you're doing is you are the mouthpiece for the communication of the school. and people are very nervous, but I think there's a message that has to be, we're spending a lot of time, hours upon hours, dealing with the things that people are nervous about. Everybody wants to know about security. The more we put in print, the more we discuss it, the less secure we are. So it just comes to one of those things. Trust we know what we're doing. We're in communication with the right organizations, whether it's the police force, whether it's the Federation, the CSI, we have that. We are meeting as heads of school to discuss with the BJE what can be done, how can we bolster. And again, this is important to recognize. A lot of bolstering is not that we don't feel that we're safe, but sometimes we want to create the visual. And we're doing that. So how many more guards? Somebody sent me an email. Why don't you put that on the WhatsApp page? No, that's exactly what we should not be doing, is showing our hand of what we're doing. Now, I understand we have now this Friday the 13th coming up and everyone's concerned about it. We've been talking about this for 3-4 days. We are aware of it. We had the heads of school discussed it today. They brought on us somebody from Federation to discuss it in terms of there's been no real chatter, nothing that is plausible that we have any concern. As soon as we get a sense that it is something concerned, we will let you know. Don't bring your kids if there's a problem. But we're not obviously going to tell you bring your children if there's a problem. In fact, one of the comments were made by one of the other heads of school. He says, keeping your kids home probably is the most dangerous thing, because most people are not going to keep their kids at home under lock and key. These kids are going to go out into the community without security, unsupervised, and the biggest thing they're concerned about are the different places where they're going to have these rallies. And we will give a list of where these rallies are happening. Please don't drive through these areas, drive around. And that's really what they're most concerned about. But there's been no plausible threat against any of the schools right now. And we will let you know if there's something concerned about, please. So therefore, there has to be some level of, every time Mrs. Andra and myself, Rabbi Solomon, have to deal and respond to an email, that's another 10-15 minutes detracting of what you really want us to be doing. So you are our mouthpiece. Put it on there. If you have this chatter, just shut it down. Tell her that we are aware of it. The school, yesterday I had a couple of parents want to come onto campus because they have gun licenses and they want to, again, I'm not knocking it. There is some idea. I'm in touch with Magen Av. Magen Am is a security company that vets out and trains. We're talking about, I know some of the schools are doing volunteer, but it has to be done through a credible organization that just not the cops and robbers, people running around, with guns on campus. That's not what we're looking for. If I can have it's signed off by our security company, and we have it, they've been vetted out correctly. So there are some things we're looking about that, one of the issues that we're dealing with, I'm just sharing that again over here, is, maybe I shouldn't even do it. You're putting this online, or are you putting this?
On YouTube.
On YouTube, maybe. Anyway, so therefore, the bottom line is there are areas where perhaps some assistance can be helped, and we're going to see how to go ahead. So I'm not dismissing it right off the bat, but obviously it has to be done in a way that we feel it's an upgrade and a help to our children, and not just it's placating some emotional need that parents have. That's not what we're looking to do here. So please help yourselves throughout the lunch. We will talk about different parts and